Damn, this is embarrassing to post because it shows how truly weak I am, how truly stupid I am. I am learning, I will be better. So about 2 weeks ago, her and I had a wedding trip to the Philippines for her cousin. She told me she was canceling my ticket because we were no longer together. Fast forward to mid-trip. She calls me crying, saying how she messed things up so bad and how this trip gave her such clarity. She asked me if I loved her and told me if I could ever forgive her. She then told me she used my ticket and give it to her affair partner. She said it was one of the worst trips of her life and she realized she's not a lesbian and doesn't want to be around this girl any longer. She looked at the price of cutting her trip short because she says she wanted to be with her family and make things right. She came home. Before we saw each other, I called her on the phone and said, "Is it really over? Do you really want this with me 100%? Because you can walk all over me and go back to her. What am I gonna do? You know I'm not going to hit you, kill you. All I'm going to do is be hurt, and you've shown you can do that without pause." She said no, she's here 100% and wants this more than anything. First day together, we have sex, cuddle, and she tells me all her realizations. 6 hours in, she starts to cry about her breakup. We stay up until 5 in the morning talking about everything but how she made me feel. She doesn't beg for forgiveness. She talks about how much drinking her affair partner would do, how much games she would play, how she was getting other women Snapchat while together in the Philippines. I sense this is not over. She says she wants to cut contact but doesn't know how. I'd be nice and tell her you can do it slow or fast. If you're truly back with me, it shouldn't matter. The next day, she comes home and starts saying how she is sad because her affair partner's parents were very spiritual and she wanted to find her spiritual side. I tell her that's silly. She could find her spiritual side with one of the many hundred other communities that exist. She starts crying and walks away from me, saying I'm not a safe space for her to talk about anything. I tell her I can sense this stuff isn't over, and she's just trying to convince herself to go back to her. We argue, but the kiss is asleep. She comes out, and her best friend calls her saying they plan to return from the Philippines party and their guest of honor isn't there. I tell her she can do. Expecting she wouldn't, she goes. At 1 in the morning, I call her and ask her if she's sleeping there. She says yes. I say how disappointed I am that she would put me through all that again and that it's over between us and I was an idiot for trusting her. She's in the car picking a beer at the time, so she's not drunk. She decided to stay there until the next day. She comes home at noon. The next day, I bring a joint for us to smoke and offer it as a peace treaty. I tell her I'm going to leave no matter what. I just want peace until then. We start arguing mid-joint. She won't admit that she had an affair. She starts going crazy, trying to escape the situation, telling me I'm making her feel like she's going to have a panic attack, all because I'm trying to break down what an affair is and how she definitely was in one. She absolutely would not admit it. Then in anger, she blurts out, "The difference between you and the kids is I love the kids unconditionally." I start crying and walk away. She comes back and tries to clarify that she does love me. We put the kids to bed, and I come out the room. She's freshly showered and is walking out the door. I tell her if I was trying to convince someone that I loved them, the last thing I'd do is leave the house to go see my affair partner. I'd stay and try to convince them. You don't love me. She says, I don't need your permission to see her, and walks out the door. I stay up until 6 in the morning taking care of the children who all have periods of crying. She comes home, I tell her I'm moving out this Friday, and we have to tell the kids by Wednesday. She says, "Can you think about therapy with me first?" and leaves. She comes back home after work and I tell her no therapy, that I'm leaving. She's bummed out and starts playing sad music around the house. I'm viewing apartments tomorrow and should be leaving by December 1st or November 15th. I have no money and a crappy job. My kids say things to me every day that break my heart, but I'm moving forward no matter what. Clearly, I didn't listen to all of you, my family, my friends, and I got screwed. This has exposed me so much to how truly weak I got, but I will rise above. I've always been a winner until I met her. With her gone, I will be the best version of myself, and I know it. For the last month, I've been going through all kinds of grief. My high school sweetheart cheated, told me she was now in a relationship with a woman for the last month, and has been ongoing for the last 3 months. Leading up to this, she was going through a major mental health crisis. It was her cousin's suicide anniversary, and she started expressing feelings of suicide herself. I helped her through it as best as I could, but her friends kept encouraging her to go out, drink, sing karaoke. Soon, she started coming home at 7 in the morning and sometimes not at all. We have 3 small children, 4, 5, and 7 years old. For 12 days straight, I took care of them while they literally thought their mom was dead. She would cold shoulder me on the days she would come home and then leave at 10:03 at night. If that isn't ugly enough, it gets worse. For the last 15 years, and specifically the last month, she has been blaming me for all her emotions. She has been trying to break up with me, then standing in front of the door and not letting me leave. She has made me feel like I'm not enough during our entire relationship. Eventually, it got to the point where I told her I was going to withhold love from her. I was going to stop saying, I love you. I was going to stop looking her in her eyes. And I was only going to be a bit vulnerable with her. I told her it was up to her to foster a relationship of love by committing to me. The longest she could go was 6 months before trying to kick me out again. Her list of reasons for wanting out always changed. By the end of every fight, she'd come back, apologize, then try and have sex with me. She'd tell me, please love me now. My craziness is over. I didn't mean it. I'd reluctantly cuddle her and assure her that I could get through this consistent abandonment. When things would come smoother, I'd try to love better. I'd handcraft cards, tell her I love her, make videos for her, talk to her all night. It gets even uglier. Currently, she has told everyone in her life and even convinced her therapist that she is the victim, that if I loved her correctly, she would never need to cheat, that her heart was so desperate for love that anyone could have swooped her up. The ugliest part, I moved 2 hours away from family and friends so she could secure her dream job and be 5 minutes away from her parents. I became a stay-at-home dad while working remotely. Both my parents were drug addicted and devastated my childhood. My grandma adopted me at 7 and saved my life, so I always vowed to take care of my children no matter what. Currently, she is at a work trip in a different city with her girlfriend. Weekly, she goes on dates late at night for alcohol-fueled sex with her new partner. During all this, she'll come home and try to have sex with me. At least 5 times she's told me she's not sure she wants to leave me fully and that she'd like an open relationship. I've told her no, but the pain of not having her is killing me, so I routinely let her back in. Last night we cuddled, nearly kissed. She insisted on sex, but I said no. For now, I can't bear to abandon my children. They love me and I love them. So I have to stay home, watch my wife come home with hickey all over her body, and take care of the children. I'm dying. I'm suicidal, and I'm 90% certain I'm joining the army to get over this pain. But in reality, I just want her to miss me. I want to find a strong remote job so I can be close to my kids and afford a $200,000 home nearby. That is my dream. Thanks for listening to my rant. Feels good to put this into words, and if you have any questions or insight, please let me know, as I know I'm not a perfect person and perhaps caused some of this myself. Content warning: Child Protective Services and hospitalization. A little backstory. I just had my baby after a very rough pregnancy. I had to get what is called a nephrostomy tube through my back and into my kidney, like a catheter, to help drain it because it could not drain on its own. I got this in March. I had multiple other complications during the pregnancy: preeclampsia, cholestasis, and gestational diabetes. I finally had my son in August. It took 2 months to get surgery scheduled to remove the nephrostomy tube, as well as some other surgeries to my kidney. I also have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Over the past couple of weeks leading to surgery, I was in so much pain from my kidney. I was unable to take meds before the surgery. I called my family multiple times asking for just a little help and support, because taking care of 3 littles, one of them being an infant, while also in severe pain and healing from a C-section, as well as my body trying to catch up on all the other health issues, has been exhausting. My family told me I do not need help, and to figure it out, I can do it on my own. So I did. The Thursday before my surgery, I had a friend stop by and help with the kids while I cleaned the entire apartment. Friday was my surgery. My mom came and stayed with the kids while I was in surgery and took my 3-year-old home with her after we got back. My 5-year-old went to his biological dad's, so that just left me and my husband with the infant. Over that weekend, while I was healing from surgery, my husband also got a call that his dad was in the hospital, possibly dying. he had all kinds of questionable things lighting up on the imaging of his spine that could be cancer or infection. Both would be very bad since it was on the spine. So, Saturday evening, the day after my surgery, my husband took the baby, went and picked up our 3-year-old, and went to the hospital with the kids to see his dad. I stayed home because I was feeling really lightheaded and dizzy from the surgery and went to sleep. When my husband got home, he asked if I could take care of the baby, and I could not even open my eyes. So he continued taking care of the baby, but was unable to do the dishes for the day. No big deal, we can do them the next day. Sunday morning, my husband had to go to work. I was alone with the 3-year-old and infant. When I got up, I tried to stand up and fell over from the lightheadedness and dizziness. I fainted. I got up and changed the baby's diaper. Since I was so dizzy, I set the diaper on the floor by the bassinet and barely was able to carry the baby to the living room. I put Mickey Mouse on for the 3-year-old and tried to lay down. I fainted again, and then I started hallucinating. I did not know what was and was not real. I called my husband, telling him something was very wrong and I needed to go to the hospital, but he did not want a point for leaving work early, so I called my dad. When my dad and stepmom got there, my dad started screaming at me about my dishes needing to be done, the garbage was overflowing, we were out of bags, and my husband planned to get more after work. My 3-year-old had a cupcake and some cheese on the floor, and he saw the one diaper by the bassinet in my room. I asked my dad to stop yelling at me and just help me get to the hospital. My stepmom decided to look at the meds I was on and told me it was the side effect of my meds and gave me Tylenol and told me to sleep it off. They took the kids for a drive, and when they came back, they also yelled at my husband for the trash, dishes, and that we allowed the toddler to eat in the living room and get food on the floor. I had called for help at 10:30 in the morning, and it was now 6 in the evening. They finally took my temperature, and it was 102 degrees and getting worse. I was very out of it at this point. My husband rushed me to the hospital, and immediately they told me the kidney had become infected during surgery, and I was also septic. The nurses were worried for me. My temperature was now 104 degrees, and I was so out of it I did not know what was going on anymore. I was admitted for the sepsis. While I was in the hospital, my dad ran his mouth to a bunch of people and way over-exaggerated and embellished his story about my apartment. So we don't know who, but one of these people ended up calling Child Protective Services, expressing that my children were not being cared for and living in a pigsty. During this time, I was literally fighting for my life in the hospital. I was hooked up to oxygen, multiple different intravenous lines, and lots of meds to help me get back on my feet. The morning after I got home from the hospital, I had Child Protective Services calling me and knocking on my door. I let her in and explained everything and how I was having a medical emergency, and that is why I called my dad, and he chose to be critical about my apartment instead of helping me get to the hospital. She was happy with everything she saw, said there is no case, and she's going to try to close it as soon as possible. It's just so frustrating that I called my dad in a time where I needed help, and instead I got criticism, and he ran his mouth, so someone called Child Protective Services on us instead of even asking my side of the story or considering the fact I was hospitalized and needed help.
So this happened in Bangalore. I work as a creative director at a wedding planning company, and that day I had to pick up my crew on the way to an event. I booked a cab. My stop was the first one. The driver started talking as soon as I sat down, and I responded in Kannada. He seemed friendly, the chatty uncle energy that makes you go, "Aw, harmless." He asked me what I did for a living, and when I told him, he got excited. Apparently, his friend works in event planning too. He said they met when she booked his cab once. They talked, she gave him her number and invited him over for dinner with her family. Cute, right? A little too friendly maybe, but I figured whatever. Bangalore is full of extroverts and weirdly wholesome strangers. So far, normal. Until my crew joined. 2 of my guys got in, both Malayalis who also speak Kannada. The driver asked if they were Kannadigas and I said no. That is when things took a turn. He started talking about his first love. He said she was the only woman he ever really loved, chased him relentlessly in college until he finally fell for her. He even met her family. They loved him. Then one day, she left him for a rich guy. He was devastated. He got drunk. Her sister invited him to the wedding to mock him, and on the day of the wedding, his brother got out of jail. Already my brain was like, wait, jail? They both showed up at the wedding drunk. The groom's family tried to fight them, and apparently, he stabbed one of them. And the guy died. He said it so casually, I thought I misheard. Then he added, that was the second time I killed someone. At this point, my soul left my body. He continued talking about the first person he had murdered back in his village, how he fled to Bangalore, and how he got involved with the underworld. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in the backseat with my crew, texting them on our group chat like, guys, what the actual fuck do we do? I am scared. And one of them replies, just keep nodding, act normal, do not trigger him. We still had 90 minutes left in that ride. 90 whole minutes. So there I was, smiling, nodding, pretending to be invested in this man's murder memoirs while internally writing my own eulogy. Eventually, he said he had left that life behind. He got married, had a son, and became an honest man. He even changed his name. We reached our stop. We got out. No one said a word until we were safely inside the venue. Then we laughed it off. Maybe he was trolling us. Maybe it was a movie plot he adopted to entertain bored passengers. My girlfriend even joked, he probably tells a different Bollywood level story to everyone he drives. Maybe next time he will claim to be a secret agent. We wanted to believe that, but the next day my crew sent me a YouTube link, an old Kannada news clip from a few years ago. And guess what? It was him. Every word of his story was real. I did not report this incident because he picked me up from my house, so he knew my address. Still have not been able to forget about this.